And when the money dispensed out, it was way more than $300, over $800 extra than I had requested dispensed into my hand in fresh, crisp $100 bills. I want you to ask yourself one question. What is the price you place on your integrity? What is the value of your word and who you say you are to other people? I'm going to tell you a story. Just about a week ago, I was withdrawing money from the ATM. I went in, I was going to take out $300. Punched in the numbers, punched in my PIN, and when the money dispensed out, it was way more than $300, over $800 extra than I had requested dispensed into my hand in fresh, crisp $100 bills. You can imagine my surprise in that moment. Oddly enough, the first reaction was that I had done something wrong. I thought that I was in trouble or I'd committed some sort of crime. And after a few moments, I started to settle in and realize, wait, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I punched in the wrong numbers, or maybe the computer made an error. I looked at my receipt, and sure enough, the receipt said I'd only taken out $300. But I counted it again. Here I was, $1,100, $800 richer than I was supposed to be. And this set off a cascade of thoughts, a lot of which came from all different angles and directions. This is the quintessential moment of having the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, because one side of me said, wow, nobody saw this. I bet the bank doesn't even know what's going on because this particular bank branch was closed indefinitely because of COVID. And then the other side was saying, but how could you live with yourself? This isn't money that you earned. What if they took this money from some other person's account by mistake? What if that money that I'm holding on to belongs to somebody or something else? And for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I was just bombarded with all these different thoughts about what's the right thing to do? What do I need to do? What's my choice? What's my decision? And the thought that I came to after a few minutes of sitting with this was that I would never be able to, in my good conscience, in my integrity, my sense of honor, take that $800 and use it for myself, or do anything other than give it back to the person who really needed it, the person who that actually belonged to. And it was a really interesting process for me because it was so clear, in spite of all the thoughts that came into my mind, that the only thing that I can do according to who I am and who I say that I want to be is to do everything in my power to make that error right. And for me, that was making every effort to give the money back to the bank. And so I resigned myself to the next day going to the bank, showing up in person on Monday when the bank is supposed to be open, and telling them what happened and giving the money back. Unfortunately, this bank, like I said, was closed due to COVID. And so I said, okay, well, what's the next thing to do? I made a phone call, called the 1-800 number. I'm sorry, sir, we can't help you with that. You have to resolve this issue with the bank at which you got your cash from. And I said, well, that's impossible. They're closed because of COVID. And they said, well, you need to set up a virtual meeting. And phone call after phone call, I kept going to greater and greater lengths to give the bank back their money that they mistakenly gave to me. And after the third or fourth call, I started to feel really frustrated and angered by this. I just wanted to do what I felt was the right thing, and the bank was making it harder and harder for me to do that. At this point, I started sharing my story on Instagram and with other people in my community, receiving a full array of perspectives and opinions on what I should do with it. Some of you guys out there said, dude, keep the money, screw the banks, fuck the man, that money's yours. Other people said, well, maybe you can give it to charity or put it in a college fund for somebody who's less fortunate. Feed a family who's suffering right now because the parents are unemployed. All these different ideas, and none of them really wrong. Some of you guys said, I would have done exactly what you did. Try to find a way to give the money back. And the biggest takeaway for me in this whole process was that the whole spectrum of opinions and thoughts and beliefs about what I should do was inconsequential. Because of all of those hundreds of voices that were telling me different things, the only one that mattered was my own. My integrity, my sense of honor, my code, my beliefs about what right and wrong is. And a man in my life named John Somerville gave me this definition of integrity a while back that has stuck with me through the years. That true integrity and honor is doing the right thing even when no one's watching. Doing the right thing when nobody is watching. That's integrity. That's having honor. And I embraced that, and I've embodied that over the past several years of my life. But here is a real life moment where I could definitely use $800 more right now, and nobody was watching. There were no cameras. This bank was closed. There was nobody there when this happened. Nobody would know about it unless I shine light on the issue. But I knew in my heart of hearts that I wouldn't feel right. I'd never be able to utilize that cash for myself or my family, knowing that I received it improperly by way of some error. And so after listening to all these different viewpoints and perspectives, the only thing I could do was everything in my power to make that error correct. So 3 days later, 5 phone calls later, about 3 to 4 hours worth of extra work and time out of my life, I finally resolved the issue with the bank. $800 came in, $800 went back. Like nothing had ever happened. But that's not true, is it? I got a greater lesson that is priceless, that I could have never gotten from the bank if they'd offered it to me, other than in this strange set of circumstances that arose. I learned the value and the price of my integrity. I learned that my sense of honor doesn't actually have a price tag on it. Doing the right thing when no one's watching means more to me than an extra $800 in my pocket, or $800 somewhere else. And that's my code. And yours may be different. You may have a different perspective on what I should have done. And if you get the opportunity and you get put in the same set of circumstances, you're free and inclined to do whatever you will do. We get to decide for ourselves. We get to decide what our honor code is, what my sense of integrity is, despite all of the other possibilities and perspectives that are out there. Because those voices from the peanut gallery are always going to exist. But the lesson for me of finding out where my true north is, where my line of integrity is, regardless of all the opinions from people around me, priceless. And to top it all off, at the end of this whole debacle, I told my wife, hey, that $800 has gone back into the bank. It's gone. It's all settled. It's a done deal. She looked at me and she said, you know what? I give you a lot of credit. I respect you. And hearing that from my wife is priceless. Worth way more than $800. To be the man that I say I am. And how far that goes with the trust that I'm building up with her by my actions that not so directly impact her. A little more peripherally. She just gets to witness how I'm being in the world, and that gives her a greater sense of security. So thank you, Chase Bank. Thank you for giving me that opportunity, that error in your ATM distribution, to learn what I'm made of and to embody that in my life. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be who I say I am. And if you're out there listening to this, watching this, and you're seeing places in your life where you're not showing up according to who you say you are, then let this be the call to raise your standard, to raise your level of performance to match who you say you want to be in this world. And if you're somebody out there who's living your life according to other people's standards, decide where your line is. What is your honor code? What is your degree of integrity? How far will you go to do what you know is the right thing to do? I hope you like that fire we're dropping here on the Rising Man YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button so you get notifications each and every time we drop one of these videos. And go check us out at risingman.org to become a bigger part of the Rising Man family. Peace out, y'all.
Rise up and claim your destiny.